All right, as you can see, Sacramento gets Zach LaVine, 3 first and 3 seconds. Of the 3 first, I only really like the 2031 Minnesota pick, and that's because the 2025 Charlotte pick is top 14 protected, and Charlotte looks like they're going to be within that top 14. So that means the pick will convey into 2 seconds, which just isn't that valuable. And for the 2027 Spurs pick, it's likely going to be a late pick just because Wembanyama is going to be in his prime, and so too will Fox, assuming he resigns, which I would imagine he will. He wanted to go to San Antonio in the first place. So that's again, just not too valuable. 2031 though for Minnesota, that pick could be very juicy. If Anthony Edwards wants out, that pick looks really good. If the team just continues to be cheap and doesn't surround Edwards with talent, then, they're not going to be that great of a team. So it could be, like a mid to upper echelon pick. So there's a lot of avenues for that pick to be good. It's very, far down the road. It's hard to project anything. Who knows? Maybe they get, you know, a great player in the meantime, and then that pick's actually the worst pick of the bunch. But it has the potential to be something. And I like that they got all these second rounders as well. I know in the past I've said that, nobody cares about second rounders. That's largely true, especially when you're dishing them out. But when you're trying to rebuild, and in this case they're retooling more than rebuilding, they they have some value. And you know, if you're trading a star player like Fox, you better get as many picks as you possibly can. Like I wouldn't have gone for Levine and just said all I want is picks and try to get like 5 first instead. I feel like at the least they could have gotten some of the Atlanta picks from the Spurs, but either way, Levine is not. I'm gonna get into Levine in a second. He's not a bad return if you're trying to stay competitive, which it does make some sense because for the Kings, they've been a pretty poor franchise since like the early 2000s until just a couple years ago. And I can see why you'd want to be, competitive again. And with Levine and Sabonis, I don't think you're going to be like, a high end Western Conference team, but you're going to be a team that's difficult for nearly every team in the league because Sabonis is probably the best rebounder in the league. I would say he would be my bet. And that's, you know, added on to by the fact that Sabonis is hitting his threes this year, which is crazy because, he's pretty deep into his career. Like, he's not old, but he's pretty deep into his career at this point. And, props to him for that. So you got, the best rebounder in the league that can shoot threes. I don't think he's a bad defender. I think some people still have the perception of him as being a bad defender, but I definitely don't think he's bad. And, he can post up nearly anybody. And then that plays off of Levine, who's going to give Sabonis space to post up because Levine is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. He has insane efficiency. So I think they're going to play nicely off each other. I think there's going to be some good pick and roll opportunities. And, I still want Sabonis being the offensive hub. I would say even a little bit more than he was with Fox. But I think Levine is going to help in some ways that, Fox just wasn't able to. But before I get into that, I want to say LaVine is a terrible defender. Like, they are going from a, I'll say, an above average defender for a star in Fox, because I would say Fox is like pretty much average as a defender. Like, he's not, like, he can get steals and, he can be making flashy plays, but he's not always like the most aware, or like he doesn't always stay super in front of his guy when he's trying to defend. So there's definitely, issues with him as a defender as well. But like, for a star, he's one of the better defenders in the league, I would say. And LaVine, he's just downright bad, like one of the worst in the league. And with that said, the thing I like about LaVine over Fox is that LaVine is just about as efficient as they come. He's shooting 64% true shooting. Fox was shooting 57%. So that's massive. And LaVine is hitting his threes at a very good level. He's making 3.2 a game. Fox is making 2. And Fox is doing so on, I think, 32% shooting from 3. So he's really not efficient at all. And I don't remember what LaVine is shooting from 3. I should have jotted that down. But LaVine, he's not much of a playmaker. He only has 4.5 assists to 2.8 turnovers a game. That's not a great ratio. You want to see at least, 2 to 1 assists to turnovers. But he can do some ball handling for sure. And what's crazy is LaVine is averaging 24 points and Fox is averaging 25.5. So, obviously, you take things in totality. You'd much rather have Fox, especially with him being younger and not having, the injury concerns that LaVine does. But to act like, it's just an amazing player in Fox and then like whatever in LaVine, that's not the case. LaVine, if he sticks to this level of play, they're they're going to miss a beat, I would say, but they're not going to be like a tier down. Like, they're just going to be in the lower part of the same tier that they were in, which, there was definitely some optimism. They were stacking together some wins, and, that seemed to bring some optimism to the franchise. So it's kind of weird how this all went down. But overall, I think this is a really solid return for the Kings. And I didn't expect to say that, because I was of the mindset that, like, just blow it up, get as young as you can, get as many picks as you can, and, try to win later. They're trying to win now and win later. And I generally think that's just not, viable in the NBA, especially where you need star talent. But, they're going to be solid now, and we'll see what happens later. So I think this is a very good return, which just I definitely would not have thought to be possible whatsoever when they didn't get like all of the picks from San Antonio. Not all of them, but a much greater percentage than what they got. So props to the Kings. They, could have been stubborn and tried to say, we're going to keep Fox and, get him to, re-evaluate things, and, we'll see what happens a year from now. And then they get nothing for him. But instead, they get some picks. They get a really solid player that meshes well with the team. Like, I think DeRozan and LaVine is a better combo schematically than DeRozan and Fox, because DeRozan, even though he's like taking more threes now than like he may have been in earlier years, that's not his game. He's living for the mid range. And LaVine, he's going to give DeRozan a ton of space to do that. So I think it's a very good blending of skills. And like, if you could have designed a player in the lab for what the Kings needed, I don't think it looks too different from what LaVine is. So I think that's, really nice to see for them. Those are my thoughts on the trade. Be sure to let me know what yours are in the comments section. And also be sure to like and subscribe. Oh, and also real quick, I've done videos for the Spurs as well. I did a short one and a long one, so I guess basically just a video. And I'm going to do a video on the Bulls side as well. So make sure you're subscribed for that.